The plunging limbers over the shattered track racketed with their rusty freight, stuck out like many crowns of thorns, and the rusty stakes like sceptres old to stay the flood of brutish men upon our brothers dear. The wheels lurched over sprawled dead, but pained them not. Though their bones crunched, their shut mouths made no moan. They lie there huddled, friend and foeman, man born of man and born of woman, and shells go crying over them from night till night and now. Earth has waited for them, all the time of their growth, fretting for their decay. Now she has them at last, in the strength of their strength, suspended, stopped and held. What fierce imaginings their dark souls lit! Earth, have they gone into you? Somewhere they must have gone, and flung on your hard back is their soul's sack, emptied of God ancestral essences. Who hurled them out? Who hurled? None saw their spirit shadow shake the grass, or stood aside for the half-used life to pass out of those doomed nostrils and the doomed mouth, when the swift, iron, burning bee drained the wild honey of their youth. What of us, who, flung on the shrieking pyre, walk, our usual thoughts untouched, our lucky limbs as on ichor fed, immortal seeming ever? Perhaps when the flames beat loud on us, a fear may choke in our veins, and the startled blood may stop. The air is loud with death. The dark air spurts with fire, the explosions ceaseless are. Timelessly now, some minutes past, these dead strode time with vigorous life, till the shrapnel called an end. But not to all. In bleeding pangs, some born on stretchers dreamed of home, dear things, war-blotted from their hearts. Maniac earth, howling and flying, your bowels seared by the jagged fire, the iron love, the impetuous storm of savage love. Dark earth, dark heavens, swinging in chemic smoke, what dead are born when you kiss each soundless soul with lightning and thunder from your mined heart, which man's self dug and his blind fingers loosed? A man's brains splattered on a stretcher-bearer's face. His shook shoulders slipped their load, but when they bent to look again, the drowning soul had sunk too deep for human tenderness. They left this dead with the older dead, stretched at the crossroads. Burnt black by strange decay, their sinister faces lie, the lid over each eye. The grass and coloured clay more motion have than they, joined to the great sunk silences. Here is one not long dead. His dark hearing caught our far wheels, and the choked soul stretched weak hands to reach the living word the far wheels said, the blood-dazed intelligence beating for light, crying through the suspense of the far torturing wheels, swift for the end to break or the wheels to break, cried as the tide of the world broke over his sight. Will they come? Will they ever come? Even as the mixed hoofs of the mules, the quivering-bellied mules, and the rushing wheels, all mixed with his tortured upturned sight, so we crashed round the bend. We heard his last scream, we heard his very last sound, and our wheels grazed his dead face.
The art of remembering consists largely in discerning what to forget, and to the will belongs the undeniable power to erase the unworthy, and the acid to etch in what is worth retaining. I write this outside a German dugout wrecked by one of our 60-pounders. The explosion has thrown 5 men lifeless down the stairway. Their boy officer, a young Absalom, is suspended head downwards by one of his bluchers from 2 viced beams in the roof. Get the harrowing details out of the mind. Remember only the faithful service. It seems to me that so many of our journals urge the remembering of the worthless, the forgetting of the worth remembering. Remember the Lusitania, remember Nurse Cavell. Rather, keep them out of the mind. Heaven consists largely of thinking of mothers and wives and children and other things that are thus beautiful. Get the habit. Increase heaven by thinking of the homely, fat, but selfless Frau and the lad who hangs in the ceiling by his foot. Hell consists largely in thinking of our own nastinesses. We cannot forget them even when forgiven, and so this hell survives. But other people's nastiness we can forget quite easily. Forget the Lusitanias, the Louvains. There are paid servants of the state who will attend to these. German food and British food, examine them closely, they're the same. The same in terms of stomach, or ears, or eyes, or of the immortal soul. A week since, I was lying out in no man's land. A little German dog trotted up and licked my British face. I pulled his German ears and stroked his German back. He wagged his German tail. My little friend abolished no man's land, and so in time can we.
Bent double like old beggars under sacks, knock-kneed, coughing like hags, we cursed through sludge till on the haunting flares we turned our backs and towards our distant rest began to trudge. Men marched asleep. Many had lost their boots, but limped on, bloodshod. All went lame, all blind, drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of tired, outstripped 5-9s that dropped behind. Gas! Gas! Quick, boys! An ecstasy of fumbling, fitting the clumsy helmets just in time. But someone still was yelling out and stumbling and floundering like a man in fire or lime. Dim through the misty panes and thick green light, as under a green sea, I saw him drowning. In all my dreams, before my helpless sight, he plunges at me, guttering, choking, drowning. If in some smothering dreams you too could pace behind the wagon that we flung him in, and watch the white eyes writhing in his face, his hanging face like a devil's sick of sin, if you could hear at every jolt the blood come gargling from the froth-corrupted lungs, obscene as cancer, bitter as the cud of vile incurable sores on innocent tongues, my friend, you would not tell with such high zest to children ardent for some desperate glory the old lie, dulce et decorum est, pro patria mori.
Who will remember, passing through this gate, the unheroic dead who fed the guns? Who shall absolve the foulness of their fate, those doomed, conscripted, unvictorious ones? Crudely renewed, the salient holds its own. Paid are its dim defenders by this pomp, paid with a pile of peace-complacent stone the armies who endured that sullen swamp. Here was the world's worst wound, and here with pride their name liveth forever, the gateway claims. Was ever an immolation so belied as these intolerably nameless names? Well might the dead, who struggled in the slime, rise and deride this sepulchre of crime.